friends. I've had lots of questions recently about the differences between a Rav and a handpan, and in terms of their tonal quality, their durability. And for me, having played the handpan probably for 3 years and the Rav for almost the same amount of time, Ravs represent a more durable instrument for me. I really love the tone of handpans, but for traveling and for the sake of not worrying, Ravs are great because they'll never come out of tune. I've dropped, or actually I haven't dropped, but I've had friends who've knocked over my Ravs. In moving, I've had them fall with no damage done to the tuning or to the instrument itself. So they're extremely durable. So I'm just going to talk about the pros and cons of each of these instruments in this video. The handpan, where it's based off of the steel drum, often embodies some of the metallic, bright sounds that the Caribbean steel pan has. This particular one is an overtone handpan. This is made in Russia. It gives you an idea of what they sound like. And handpans are tuned to the octave in the fifth or the octave in the fourth, depending on who's tuning it. So the center note's a D. That's the octave. And the fifth is up there. And usually handpans will have those octave and fifth pairs represented in whatever scale it is. So when you're hitting the center note, you're getting resonance on the fifth, or the octave, and also the fifth. So there's a lot of harmonic activation. Some players like harmonic activation, some do not. I'm one who actually likes that sort of sympathetic resonance. Handpans have a lot of percussive potential. So if you're a drummer, if you're someone who has a percussion background, they're great instruments. Although not useful per se when played like a drum, because they do come out of tune. There's a lot of area with their percussive quality. So I'll give you an example of that. The Rav, unlike the handpan, is tuned a little bit differently. It's not based off of the tension of the steel. Handpans are hand-hammered or hydroformed, and pressure is applied to the steel to give it a dome shape. And then it's hammered out, and based on the tension, it's kind of like a string vibrating. You can get tune the octave, fifth, and whatever the primary note into it. The Rav, it takes advantage of weight, and the weight of the tongues is what determines how deep the note is. And each of these slits represent a different note that's tuned into the tongue. So there's a primary note, which is a B in this case. But there's also the octave, the fifth, and 4 other partials tuned into it. So a Rav has between 4 and 6 notes tuned into each tongue. And this what gives it the full sustain. And also a slightly different tonal quality. Whereas handpans only have 3 notes tuned into them, Ravs have between 4 and 6. So you get a very broad, loud sustain. It's almost quadruple the sustain, actually. And again, you can do the primary note, the octave, fifth, and some of the other partials as well. And each of the tongues have that available to it. I'm going to play something on each of these instruments so you have an idea of what each of the tonal qualities is like. two do I think is better, the Rav or the Handpan? I think they both have their value. I think Handpans are different in their tonality than a Rav. They're a little bit brighter usually. They have a different sort of percussive nature to them. And their tone is a little bit more pure in a way, because there's only 3 notes rather than 4 to 6 tuned into each of their tone fields. They are susceptible to heat. They come detuned or become detuned in the sun. So if I'm busking with this, there's a period of time if I'm in the sun or somewhere really warm where I'll have to put it away, let it cool down, and take it out and play again. The Rav does not suffer that at all. I play this in the bright sun in any situation. It's never out of tune. The Ravs are pretty good about not rusting. Handpans and Ravs suffer the same issue with rust eventually in salty areas, or not if they're not treated properly. But for me, the Rav is a much more durable, useful instrument for traveling. If I were to have a super expensive handpan, which I don't at this point, I would be wary of taking it out in traveling with it as much, or going long distances, or taking it to waterfalls. Really, the purpose for having these instruments for me, particularly the Rav, is being able to take them places and not worry about them getting ruined or coming out of tune or getting scratched. Ravs are very durable, perfect for traveling, and they fit my style of playing very well, because I don't need to worry about, hitting them too hard. That being said, I think handpans are equally beautiful in their own way, and have a very different tonal quality that's useful for meditation. It's really good for playing along with other people. But the price point between the two of these, this is $650, and this is an overtone pan. This is about $1,500 to $1,800. The top shelf handpans go for $2,000 to $3,000, but there's a lot cheaper ones available now. I would definitely check out Leaf Sound Sculptures. I think Overtone makes good pans. Karumi Steel makes amazing pans. There's a bunch of makers now, so you can definitely get them for a more reasonable price. But if you're just starting out and you want to get a feel for what these instruments are like, the Rav is a great choice. And it's not a huge investment, and they keep their value. So you could resell your Rav if you didn't like the scale, or you wanted to upgrade or transfer to a handpan. So you're not stuck with whatever Rav you purchase, because they're pretty in demand right now. Hope this was helpful in deciding the differences between the two of them, and I urge you to try and play both of them if you have the chance, and find out which one best suits your style of living and your style of playing. If you're interested in buying a Rav as well, you can look below in links, and there's a link to the Rav website where you can purchase a whole variety of them. Most of them are $650 plus shipping to whatever country you're in. Thanks for watching, and stay well.